Leicester City, 2016 Premier League. Leicester entered the Premier League season as relegation candidates. Tiny budget, a squad stitched together from unwanted cast-offs and lower league grinders. A manager labelled out of touch and in over his head. Expectations? Avoid 18th place. Odds of winning the title? 5,000 to 1. Claudio Ranieri's plan cut through noise. Compact 4-4-2. Two banks of four set low and explode forward in 3 passes. N'Golo Kante hunted second balls like a heat-seeking missile. Riyad Mahrez drifted inside to create numerical overloads, and Jamie Vardy attacked space behind weary centre-backs. It wasn't possession, it was precision. Think of a counterpuncher who refuses to throw first until the opening is perfect. In autumn, they surged, which included Vardy's record-breaking streak, 11 straight league games with a goal, anchoring belief. Then, December to January, they stopped leaking goals. Kasper Schmeichel's communication, Wes Morgan and Robert Huth defending the box, Christian Fuchs narrowing at the right second, all part of a unit that trusted distances, counter-attacking mastery, and a solid defence. The real turning point came at the Etihad. Manchester City 1, Leicester 3. That wasn't a smash and grab, it was domination in transition. Mahrez cooking on the half-turn, Kante dominating the midfield, Vardy's explosive pace. Later, a little spring wobble, draws, and lots of them, but the weight of history met Ranieri's calm. Pressure released, focus reset. They didn't try to be everything, they doubled down on what worked. When Chelsea drew with Spurs at the Bridge, the title was Leicester's. 5,000 to 1 wasn't luck, it was edge selection. Maximise your strengths, minimise randomness, and force elite teams into uncomfortable games. Notice the pattern. A clear identity beats disconnected talent. Greece, Euro 2004. Greece arrived in Portugal as outsiders with a puncher's chance, ranked low, little tournament pedigree, and few household names. Expectations? Respectable group stage fight, then home early. No one, probably not even themselves, circled them as contenders. Otto Rehhagel's Greece committed to structure, a rigid 4-5-1 that became a 4-3-3 in rare bursts. The core idea? Compress the middle third, win aerial duels, deny rhythm. Angelos Bassinas screened. Traianos Dellas and Michalis Kapsis owned the penalty area, and fullbacks timed releases like chess moves, not gambles. Off the ball, they lived in narrow lanes. On it, they valued territory. Free kicks, corners, long throws. It was a tournament approach. Reduce the number of decisive moments and be better in each one. Straight out of the gate, they stunned Portugal in the opener. Organised lines, quick vertical breaks, a reminder that favourite status means nothing if you can't solve a compact block. Figo and Cristiano Ronaldo left stunned. In the knockouts, the pattern hardened and belief grew. France, with stars everywhere, ran into a wall. Charisteas rose at the key moment. Delivery, timing, finish. Against the Czech Republic, probably the form side of the tournament, Greece leaned into set-piece mastery and emotional control. Dellas's silver goal was the payoff for relentless rest defence and rehearsed routines. The final against host Portugal repeated the story. Deep block, deny central combinations, punish lapses on dead balls. Charisteas again, head like a hammer. Champions of Europe via a plan that valued repeatable actions. What's crazy is how repeatable their threat became. Every opponent knew what was coming and still couldn't force Greece to play their game. Pattern reinforced. If you control space and moments, you control tournaments. Denmark, Euros 1992. Denmark weren't even supposed to be there. Yugoslavia were disqualified, and Denmark got the late invite. Expectations? Minimal prep, minimal chance. A talented core, sure, but scattered form and limited time together. The odds said, thank you for coming. Rikard Müller-Nielsen stripped the plan to essentials. Keep distances tight, pick your pressing triggers, and let your best players express on the break. Peter Schmeichel set the tone from the back. Command, saves, and instant distribution. In midfield, John Jensen and Kim Vilfort balanced graft with brave shooting lanes. Off the left, Brian Laudrup offered accelerations that bent defensive shapes. It wasn't a possession symphony, it was a compact machine with an artist's flourish when space appeared. The group stage forced credibility fast. They frustrated France, denying central pockets and recycling second balls. Then came the Netherlands in the semi-finals, the reigning champions with swagger. Denmark didn't just bunker, They matched punch for punch. Early combinations, sharp crosses, and the courage to commit numbers in the first phase flipped the script. When it went to penalties, Schmeichel's presence filled the frame. Red, spring, parry. In the final against Germany, it was about nerves and choices. Germany loaded pressure. Denmark chose clarity. Defend the box like a family secret. Break when the window opened. Jensen's strike was the psychological crack. Vilfort's goal sealed the belief. European champions from the standby list. This wasn't a lottery ticket, it was decisive coaching, veteran leadership, and a group that refused to be defined by preparation time. The pattern here is resilience under constraint. When you can't outspend or outprepare, you out-clarify. And it worked, against giants, with everything on the line. FC Porto, 2004, Champions League. Porto didn't own the wage bill or the stars. They entered the Champions League as dark horses from Portugal's Liga. Respected in Europe, but hardly feared. Expectations? Fight through the group, maybe reach the quarters. Payroll said, nice run. Plan said something else. Jose Mourinho built a ruthless structure. A compact 4-3-1-2 that morphed into a mid-block press, with Deco as the free brain between lines. Costinha anchored. Maniche and Mendes hunted in waves. And fullbacks chose moments like snipers. They didn't chase sterile possession. They forced turnovers where it hurts and hit quickly with layered runs. Every trigger was choreographed. Lose it, swarm it, spring from it. It was tournament football taught like a course. Old Trafford, round of 16, first test of nerve. Porto seized the home leg, then survived in Manchester. A late equaliser stood because the margins favoured the brave. The press, the second balls, the killer pass. That night established a belief. They could bend heavyweights to their rhythm. In the quarters and semis, set pieces, transitional patterns, and Deco's tempo control kept opponents chasing shadows. The final against Monaco was the clean reveal. Calm start, surgical finish. Carlos Alberto's opener came from a quick vertical pattern. Deco iced it by drifting into the pocket no one protected. Elenichev sealed the rout. 3 goals, all from repeatable patterns. Champions of Europe without the budget. Notice how this one turned payroll into a non-factor. Porto shortened games into moments they rehearsed and owned. Speaking of plans meeting pressure, watch what happens when a nation flips a switch and a striker finds redemption. Italy, 1982 World Cup. Italy arrived in Spain under a cloud. A sluggish group stage, Paolo Rossi short of touch after a long absence, and critics circling. Expectations shrank to survive and hope. The shirt was heavy. The mood was heavier. Enzo Berzot didn't chase optics. He doubled down on organisation and trusted Rossi to find rhythm. Italy's 4-3-3 without the ball became a disciplined 4-4-2 block, with Cabrini and Gentile redefining edge on the flanks, Sciudea reading everything, and Tardelli setting the emotional current. The plan wasn't pretty, it was precise. Absorb, compress, then break with intent. Antonioni threading, Conti stretching, Rossi rotating across the front to unlock timing. The second group phase changed everything. Argentina first, contain Maradona's pockets, win the duels, and slash on the counter. Belief rose. Then Brazil, the tournament darlings, loaded with flair. Italy didn't blink. Rossi's hat-trick wasn't luck. It was movement meeting patience. First, pressing a mistake, then attacking the near-post space defenders forgot. Finally, a poacher's read on a loose ball at the edge. Each goal was a lesson in timing. In the semi-final, Italy leaned on muscle memory. Compact lines, Sciudea's calm, Zoff's late save that felt like a national exhale. The final against West Germany followed the rhythm. Early nerves, a missed penalty, then the release. Rossi again, then Tardelli's famous scream. Pure catharsis. World champions because a manager stuck to structure and a striker rediscovered himself at the exact moment it mattered. The pattern here is trust. Stay with the plan long enough for the right player to meet the right game. Now shift gears to a cup final, where order lost to chaos by design. Wimbledon, 1988. FA Cup, Wembley, against a Liverpool side chasing another double. Wimbledon, a club that had climbed from the lower leagues with a reputation that made elites roll eyes. Expectations? Keep it respectable. Odds said formality. Wimbledon heard opportunity. Dave Bassett and Bobby Gould didn't pretend to be Liverpool. They built a game around disruption. Direct balls into channels, violent contest of second phases, throw-ins treated like set plays treated like penalties. Vinnie Jones, Laurie Sanchez, Dennis Wise, each role defined, each duel personal. They didn't just press, they pestered. They didn't hide identity, they weaponized it. The match hinged on two events and everything in between. First, Sanchez's header from a rehearsed free kick pattern. Delivery with pace, late blindside movement, and a defender caught flat. It wasn't luck, it was a drill executed under bright lights. Then the penalty. John Aldridge stepped up, and Dave Besant went early. Reed, Spring, hand to history. The first save penalty in an FA Cup final. In the spaces between, Wimbledon turned the pitch into a contest Liverpool didn't want. Long balls forcing awkward clearances, midfield battles won by position before power, time wasting as a psychological tool. The Crazy Gang have beaten the Culture Club. Wimbledon lifted the FA Cup by forcing a titan to play a game it hated. That's the pattern break, identity sharp enough to cut a favourite's rhythm. And if you think scale always decides, Iceland's story answers that fast. Iceland, 2016 Euros. Population around 330,000. No professional league structure to match Europe's giants. First major tournament. Expectations? Enjoy the stage, learn, go home with memories. Seeded low, reputation modest. But the foundation was different. Indoor domes, qualified coaches everywhere, a generation raised with year-round training and clear roles. Lars Lagerbäck and Heimir Hallgrímsson built a system that fit the nation's strengths. 4-4-2 is a promise. Narrow lines, compact distances, wingers tucking in to protect channels, and fullbacks picking moments. On the ball, direct routes, set pieces, long throws, and quick counters driven by Gylfi Sigurdsson's delivery and Aron Gunnarsson's engine. It wasn't passive, it was specific. Think of it as a pared-back playbook run with perfect timing. Group F opened with Portugal. Iceland sat in structure, then hit back. A 1-1 draw that felt like a statement. They belonged. Against Hungary, resilience. Against Austria, the release. Late winner, chaos, and the roar that became the soundtrack. The Viking clap wasn't noise, it was a heartbeat. The round of 16 set the stage for a cultural shock. England scored early. Iceland didn't wobble. Two quick strikes, one from a long throw pattern, another from pressure creating a shooting lane, flipped the match. From there, it was organisation and courage, winning duels, compressing space, and trusting Hannes Halldórsson to handle the storm. The quarter-final against France ended the dream, but even in defeat they scored twice, still swinging. Iceland reached the quarter-finals as the smallest nation to ever do it, beating England along the way. The takeaway isn't magic, it's infrastructure meeting clarity. A country built pitches, taught coaches, and then ran a plan anyone could understand and no one could easily disrupt. Speaking of continents rising, Africa's first great roar on the World Cup stage is next. Cameroon, 1990 World Cup. Little was expected from Cameroon in Italy. Most of the squad weren't European stars, and the opening game put them against the reigning champions, Argentina. Odds said, survive the group. The players heard, why not us? What they had was cohesion and conviction. 5 months of hard prep forged trust. Thomas Nkono's presence, Joseph-Antoine Bell's standards, a back line that accepted the fight, and a mentality summed up by one idea. 1 + 1 can make 3 if the team is tight. They were physical, yes, but purposeful. Tactical aim? Disrupt Argentina's rhythm, win aerials, contest every second ball, and surge forward when the space appeared. Game 1 in Milan. The free kick drops, a flick, then François Omambiik hangs in the air and heads down. It isn't pretty, it's perfect. Timing, pressure, and a rattled keeper. From there, it's nerve and tackles on the edge, red cards survived, and a nation on its feet. Then came Roger Mila, 38 and irresistible, off the bench against Romania. 2 goals in 10 minutes, hips swinging at the corner flag, a celebration that became law. In the round of 16, Colombia ran into Mila's late career glow again, extra time brilliance and a famous mistake punished. England in the quarters brought the ceiling, but not without a scare. Down a goal, Cameroon flipped it to 2-1 before late penalties swung it back. A quarter-final, the first sub-Saharan team to reach that far, and a global shift in respect. The pattern here is unity and nerve. They didn't outplay the world, they outbelieved it, and then played enough to make belief real. South Korea. 2002 World Cup co-hosts, but not favourites. South Korea entered 2002 with energy, a demanding camp under Gus Hiddink, and a fan base ready to roar. The roster wasn't stacked with European stars. The mission was simple: be the best prepared team in the tournament. Hiddink's edge was conditioning and clarity, compact shape, aggressive pressing triggers, and quick vertical attacks. The lines moved together. Tactical fouls when needed, relentless running always. It wasn't about dominating the ball, it was about dominating the tempo. The group stage proved the base. 7 points against Poland, the US, and Portugal, confidence locked. Then came Italy in the round of 16, and the game football still argues about. Italy led through Vieri. Korea stayed on task, kept pressing, and found a late equaliser through Sol Ki-hyun. Extra time sharpened controversy. Totti's second yellow for simulation, Tomasi's finish chalked off, Italy seething, the noise rising. Then An Yong-hwan's header, a golden goal that sent a heavyweight home and lit a fuse. Spain next. Again, defensive stubbornness and boundless legs created a knife-edge match. 2 Spanish goals were ruled out, one for an overruled own goal, one for the byline call on Joaquin's cross. Penalties decided it. Korea held. The semi-final against Germany met reality. Balak's strike drew a curtain. But the country had already changed. First Asian team in a World Cup semi-final. The run lived with controversy, and the players knew it. But the core stands. A plan anchored in fitness, pressing, and nerve turned hope into history. The pattern holds. When you control pace and moments, giants wobble. Nottingham Forest, European double. This is the original club underdog arc. Nottingham Forest, promoted from the second division, didn't just survive. Under Brian Clough and Peter Taylor, they rose so fast it rewrote what was possible. Expectations? Consolidate in the top flight. Reality? Build a culture that suffocated complacency. Clough's gospel was simple. Pass with purpose. Defend zones, not panic. Value the ball like gold. Training drilled distances, first touch, and bravery under pressure. Taylor's recruitment was the secret sauce. Find undervalued players who fit the system and the dressing room. Forest became hard to break and harder to read. Narrow lines, fullbacks stepping at the right time, midfielders who recycled and bit, forwards who pressed angles more than legs. The league title came first, but Europe was the vindication. In 1979, they toppled Liverpool, the kings of the continent, by refusing to be awed. Then they won the European Cup with control and calm. Most teams drop after the peak. Forest didn't. In 1980, they defended the crown. Knights tightened into patterns they trusted. Early composure, mid-game territorial control, late-game maturity. The final demanded the same virtues: patience, structure, and a willingness to punch only when the guard dropped. They landed the shot. Back-to-back European Cups from a team that had been playing in the second tier just seasons earlier. That's the club blueprint. Clarity in coaching, ruthless recruitment, and a game model that travels. It's the same pattern we've seen everywhere today. Identity over shine, repetition over romance.